Hello and welcome to another episode of the Academy Countdown, where we take a look at all the films nominated for Best Picture at this year's Oscars. My name is Zachary Trevino, and today I'm joined by a very special guest.
Hello, I'm Lily Wyatt. Do you want me to
Yeah, what was you do?
A little spiel?
Yeah.
Media communications major, second semester in the runner, loving it, and I am honored to be here.
Yeah, and it's quite a special episode, because today we are looking at Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Now, going into it, you a big Frankenstein guy? Really big into the whole story of the monster coming to life?
No. I read some of the story in high school, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't have gravitated toward this film if it were not for this opportunity. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm glad it wouldn't have been my pick. Like right off the bat, I won't get into that yet. It wouldn't have been my pick, but I'm very glad that I did watch it. Yes, it was good. I enjoyed it.
And so, were you surprised in any way in this film, or were you was this kind of what you were expecting? Do you know Guillermo del Toro's work?
I know of it. I have not seen much of it. I do have some strong convictions when it comes to movie watching, and so I don't think that I would be what would be considered a fan of his work, but I knew how fantastic it was going to be. I knew the cinematography was great. I know quite a few of the actors, and so I had an overall sense, but I was surprised at how sincere it was and how deep. Yeah,
because when I'm going into this, I know Guillermo del Toro. I know him from Pan's Labyrinth, and I know him from Hellboy. Yeah. And so for him to take on this kind of classical thing, because this has really been on the rise. Last year we had Robert Eggers doing, Nosferatu. Yeah. It's kind of almost second coming of the Universal classic monster. And so I knew it wouldn't be as dark and gritty as Nosferatu was, but I was curious to see what kind of flair would be brought to this movie. And I have to say, there certainly was a lot of flair.
There was a lot of flair, and I liked it. I think, do you like that he spun a lot away from the novel?
I think it was almost necessary. Yeah. I think the themes and the original ideas presented in the original novel by Mary Shelley was such a drab kind of story, and knowing what Guillermo del Toro does with his films, I knew it had to go somewhere different. I knew it had to be an extra step above than what it was, and this really was.
Yeah, I read that he did a great job, and even though he changed a lot of the narratives and tweaked the characters and stuff, he kept Mary Shelley's main heart and the whole actual heart of the novel and carried it into the movie. And so even though all the plot points weren't there, he took the passion that Mary Shelley had for the story and brought it into the characters. And I think I agree with that.
Yeah. And one thing that I think was very interesting about this movie, it kind of sets it apart from every other kind of film attempt at talking about the Frankenstein story, is that this really goes into the story of Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And it's so much less about the monster, at least for the first half, when it's literally, the movie calls it Victor's Tale. And it's such a interesting character dive. And I want to give special shout out. I think Oscar Isaac did an incredible job playing Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he isn't nominated, because I'm correct in saying he wasn't nominated for...
I don't think he is, but this movie's nominated. This movie's nominated for 9 Oscars.
I was a little bit surprised that Jacob Elordi is nominated for supporting actor and he's not, which I do think that Jacob Elordi did a fantastic job. That is my opinion, but I was a little bit surprised. I think he was fantastic.
Yeah, but there's so much backstory and kind of diving into the ideas of what created the kind of warped mindset of Victor Frankenstein. I thought that was very interesting.
Yes.
And how it goes into his childhood and his trauma, into his time when he's a younger adult and he's really trying to break through into the medical field. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah, and that wasn't included in the novel from my understanding, and I think that the movie would have made less sense if they hadn't given him that preface, because it starts with his passion and what he wants to do, and then it reverses back and shows how he got to that point and how his upbringing damaged him in that way and tweaked his mind to want to do all these crazy things. And I think that was good. It was a necessary adding.
Yeah, because what's interesting about this movie, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's very much told in a kind of Tarantino broken narrative style, where the open of the movie, the cold open, is taking place basically at the end of the story. narrative, like timeline-wise, and then it jumps all the way back to the past to learn about Victor, and then once we kind of meet the monster, it then has its own section where we focus on the monster and it goes into its own detail. And so I thought it was kind of interesting to show like how much like the foreboding nature of the monster I thought was very well done.
And it was very interesting. You get that cold open, and then it goes back to the very beginning of the story, and it's very intriguing to see like his birth, whatever you want to call it, to be in a stark contrast to when he's there on the ship with them and saying, now I will tell my tale. It's a very interesting contrast to see those two within like, a 2-hour span when it was his whole life to him and how much he's grown and what he's become through those years of like chasing Victor and all the things. I liked it.
And again, one thing that I thought had to be taken a lot of care in this movie is the characterization of the monster, because I feel like in a lot of kind of like modern day knowledge, people very much miscategorize and misunderstand this story. Because at the end of the day, the whole Frankenstein's monster, the whole point of the story is that he's not a monster, and it's all about kind of like societal judgments and how like I thought it was very interestingly handled for this movie.
It was, and I think he comes off. There's a stark contrast because he's very soft at points and very caring and compassionate, and brutal and violent when he needs to be. But you see all that violence channeled through his hatred for Victor, because you don't see him as just like an overall he is a monster. He is, when it comes to Victor and his vengeance and his anger, that Victor has made him into this thing that simply cannot die. And so I do like that take as well,
Yeah, it seems like with this movie, it's almost like the monster is almost like a characterization of like Victor's own self and like his own self-destructive tendencies. And it's just like more of like a manifestation, which I thought was really interesting to read into.
Because when you see all the creatures, all of the murders it commits and all the killings, his brother, Victor's brother, tells him like, it's all you. Like it's all because of you. You created him, and even though these deaths were carried out by him, like it's all your fault. You are the monster.
And so also I feel like we've mainly talked about Victor and the monster, but this movie also has a very strong supporting cast, I felt. I mean, you have what's his name? Christoph Waltz playing the
uncle?
Yeah, the uncle, the guy that gives him all the money and like backing all of his scientific tendencies.
Which she was not a character in the book, correct?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either.
And then you have Mia Goth in this movie, who plays quite the interesting character of the kind of like weird love interest in this movie.
I read about that and explored that too. Like, was it supposed to be romantic? I think they left it up to a lot of interpretation, because she says, I know that she's like, she's feeling empathetic of the creature, and she says, I always knew I wasn't made of this world, like take me with you. And I think that it's a little bit up for interpretation of whether this relationship is romantic or not, because I know that it was not originally written to be. I don't know. At points I was like, okay, maybe this is what they were going for, and then at other points I was like, no, I think she's very empathetic, and I think this movie could have been like two more hours, and they could have delved so much more into some relationships and topics. But I think, I don't know. I haven't quite decided on whether I'm on the side of them trying to be a romantic relationship or not. I don't think so. What do you think?
I think it's really up in the air, because I mean, like, it's such a weird dynamic, especially with how the movie plays out and like how it ends. Is such
it's a weird concept in general. Like, what are we even talking about?
I mean, it's I mean, we're dealing with reanimation here, and it's just like, I don't know. It's such a questionable, not questionable, but it's a thought-provoking movie, I would say.
Very thought-provoking. It's a mental, it takes a lot of your mentality to watch it. It's not an easy watch, but in a good way. It takes a lot of mental strength to watch, because you're forced to think through all of these philosophical ideas, and I think that some movies, that's what we're meant to do. And
now I'm going to kind of throw it over to you to see if your whole notebook out. I was going to say, what aspects of this movie stood out to you?
I think the first thing that I want to say is the creature's language. Like, he was very well-spoken by the end. Whether that was a realistic take or not, I'm not sure, because he's created what seems to be that inability to speak. We don't really see him saying anything except Victor, when he's the word Victor, when he's first. And I almost think that that's out of defiance, more so than unintelligence. Victor always says like, he thinks that he's too unintelligent, and that's why he eventually tries to. Are we doing spoilers?
I mean, we can't. If we want to do like a big spoiler warning. And put it out
Spoiler
there.
warning. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit necessary for this one to like
Yeah.
explain plot-wise. Spoiler warning. You should go watch it if you haven't watched it. When he tries to kill the creature, I think it's also because the narrative's already established. Lots of people already know the story. When he tries to kill the creature out of belief that he is unintelligent because he's only ever saying Victor's name. I definitely think that that's more out of defiance than it is unintelligence. And then we see the creature go on this journey of learning the language through characters we come upon, and he gets very eloquent. And I think that that is a huge aspect that Del Toro uses to establish like his line of the story and who he thinks it is. That's what struck me the most, like the creature's language and like quotes that I heard from him. I think that Jacob Elordi was outstanding in this. I unfortunately don't think that he's going to win the Oscar just because this movie's up against so many great films.
Yeah.
But I definitely like commend him for his acting. I even noticed in his language it's great, but his posture and his body movements and his taking on of playing this creature that is not truly human in a way because he's born into this facet of, you know, being a creature and being a monster. Even the body movements and like the crawling and the crouching, and eventually we do see him come to be more human-like when he has like the hood and the regular walking at the end. But just watching just how much of his words made the acting, but also his body language and his posture, I was struck by that as well. And of course the makeup.
Yeah, and I think something that's truly interesting about this is when we kind of get to see an entire sequence of this movie take place through the monster's perspective, and the way they handled the entire, the Guardian of the Forest, aspect of this movie?
Yes, I don't remember
where
what it's
he's
called.
laying out and he's basically living in the walls of this house, helping this family provide for them. And it all just kind of like, because you know it's going to go bad. It's the way it's set up. It's so kind of heartbreaking because you know that he's grown so much and grown so close to the point where it all kind of leads to like the classic, almost like Shakespearean tragedy where it's just a miscommunication. And then he's led further down into this depravity and exile to where he just grows such a strong disdain for humans.
Yes,
I mean,
and life
for his own
itself.
creator.
Yeah, and that heartbreak. It is a heartbreaking movie, but it's also, like I said, so pensive.
It plays like a tragedy. It really does.
For sure. And I wouldn't call it horror. I would call it more like gothic tragedy for sure. And him like going on the route of finding out that he really can't die through many gory attempts at taking his own life or being killed. And that moment when it switches to his perspective and he's describing, what are we calling the castle where he was created?
Yeah, Victor's like...
Yeah,
like
his
castle,
lair,
yeah.
the location
Lair.
where he created the creature, which Victor attempts to set on fire to kill him, and of course doesn't work. He's saying when he's just calling out his name again and again in that sequence of him escaping from the fire, and he said, "I called your name and I understood that I was alone."
Yeah.
And I think that kind of sets the tone for like, though he came across other people and came across, you know, these narratives of living, getting food, the spirit of the forest, all those things, he was always truly alone from that point on, and even asking for a companion and not being graced with that. I also loved that whole sequence when he comes in on their wedding day and like approaches Victor, and they have that back and forth of him begging for that. That's when the language and the dialogue of the creature, I think, was really like established.
I mean,
this guy's eloquent.
It really like plays with the ideas that were, initially proposed by Shelley, and to where it's like the extent of the blame of man's like desire to create, and like the lengths that science goes to where it becomes like questionable, and to where like you subject other things to your own agony in the name of advancement of your own abilities. And so it's just kind of like the butterfly effect of that kind of regard.
Something that really captured my attention was when Victor and his brother are together, and Victor's like been injured in the fire and all that, and he's sitting and talking with him. He says, "Victor, did you ever ask yourself, of all the parts that make up a man, which one holds the soul?" And he says, "No, I didn't." Like, he didn't even, and you have that moment where he's created the creature and he realizes, like, I don't even know what to do now, because his whole goal and his whole passion was to create life. And once he did that, what was left of it. And so it really begs the question, which we do see the creature, I think, having a soul later on through like the passion and the learning and all that. He didn't even think about it. He didn't even think about like...
It's like nature versus nurture. And then, I mean, it just shows like kind of like the even evil kind of ideology that Victor is. I mean, even the scene earlier in the movie where someone asks to be the brain in the creature and he just denies it because he is so driven towards his goal, and it's such a kind of selfish ideology that is just the driving force to cause all of this pain and chaos and misfortune to basically everyone involved in the story.
Yeah, I was going to say a spoiler, but I'll leave some things unsaid. But I completely agree with you. Yeah, his perspective was fixed, and he wasn't ever, it was very selfish. And his brother even tells him, like, only monsters play God. Like, you are the real monster here. The creature was just the sad consequence of his crazy actions. Yeah.
And so now we've talked about the movie. Now let's move on to the kind of Oscars of it all. I mean, this movie's nominated for 9 different categories.
Where's that on the scale of movies? Is it high?
High. Yeah. It's high. I mean, what's it called? Sinners got nominated for, I believe, 16, and that's the highest ever.
Yeah.
But like
ever,
yeah. Because it used to be 14. La La Land and a couple other movies had it at 14. Oscars or Sinners finally beat it. And but yeah, no, 9 is definitely nothing to scoff at.
Significant. Yeah.
I mean, and it's like everything. It's Best Picture. It's adaptation. It's cinematography. It's costume design for the monster, set design for probably that layer. We haven't even talked about the layer. The layer is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
I mean,
it's all beautiful.
All of the sciencey aspects. It's such a fantastical way of presenting all of this alchemical kind of like fantasy items. Like everything's so bright and so lit and colorful. It's beautiful.
Which seems like a stark contrast to like just how violent and raw and bloody so much of it is, which I think was the goal, and it was definitely accomplished. But yeah, the locations are amazing. The makeup and costume, I feel like they have to take that. Like
that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, what do you think, or what do you hope for this movie to kind of be able to pull out come March 15th when the Oscars plays out?
My birthday, by the way.
Oh wow.
Probably going to watch it live, hopefully. I unfortunately don't think Best Picture is in the cards for Frankenstein, just because the length at which the movies that it's up against. I think standalone it's fantastic, and it could have had a chance if any other year it was released. But I think it has a strong chance for costume and makeup. Are those one nomination, or are those 2 separate nominations? Makeup and costume. They're 2 separate.
It's 2 separate ones. Because costume, that's clothing, and like effects, that's it's like that'd be like the makeup of the monster and like the design of like the skin and all that.
Is it a nomination for both?
I believe it is.
Okay, either one of those obviously deserved. It was amazing. Jacob Elordi is definitely deserving of this nomination. I don't remember what his fellow nominees are. I think that because he already won Critics' Choice for this role, which I think was deserved. Whether or not I think that he'll get the Oscar, I could kind of see it going either way. I feel like I think the Oscars are getting more predictable, but I think they throw curveballs sometimes. So I'm not really sure. I don't think Best Picture. I definitely think they deserve.
I could see Elordi getting it in the way that it is quite the jump for Jacob Elordi as an actor. Because I mean,
it's a very big jump.
I was shocked when I first heard about this movie coming out and I heard Jacob Elordi was going to be the monster. I was like, why? I mean, Doug Jones is right there. I mean, that's Guillermo del Toro's guy. But then I was shocked at how, I mean, serious. I mean, this is such a step away from like what his normal roles are.
Pretty boy rom-com.
Where he's like the love interest. And now in this movie, he's like this hulking mass. I mean, I didn't think he would look as imposing as he was.
Yes. I mean, it helps that he's tall. Very tall. He's a very tall man. And I think he did a great job. I think it was also very interesting to me how like robotic they made him and the makeup. It was very blue hues, which I think
very blue. Which goes against like the green kind of tones you expect.
Yes, and the inhumaneness. I think he did a great job. Like I said, the language, the posture. I would like to see him get it. I would. I don't know. I don't have a very confident stance on whether he will or not. But I think the stark contrast of what he's done before definitely helps him. And then you see this contrast, turn around to Wuthering Heights, which is a different topic. But I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him. Yeah, it was good.
I mean, I hate to say this every week, but we have to wait until March 15th to find out the Oscars.
We're getting
to find out
closer.
what happens. Every day we do get a little bit closer.
Every day.
But unfortunately, that is our time. But I would, again, like to give a special shout out to everyone who takes the time out of their day to watch the Academy Countdown. You guys truly are the reason we do all of this. And my name has been Zachary Trevino.
I'm Lily Wyatt.
And thank you all for watching.
Thank you.